Hello, everybody. Apologies on the delay. Welcome for joining. Welcome to the Lunch and Learn. We'll be starting here in about, I don't know, 30 seconds or something. Again, apologies on the delay. We had some technical difficulties on my part, but we're here. We're happy to be here and all that good stuff. So, um, I'll give you my little 30-second spiel. I see a bunch of people are kind of winding in here. Appreciate everybody for joining. We'll take a look at some stuff here. And like I said, about 30 seconds. I know we did have a pre-submitted question or a pre-submitted inquiry at the very, very least. So we'll talk about that first. But if you do have other questions or you submitted in a place, I know Marvin, we sent us an email a couple hours ago. Outside of that one, if you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat, QA. Feel free to raise your hand at some point. You can just speak your question into existence if you would prefer to go that route. So, like I said, we'll start here in about 30 seconds. I just want to share, for those of you that are new, just because I do see some names in here I have never seen before, welcome. We have a YouTube channel where we post these, essentially, is my shorthand version. We do have a YouTube channel. I know it's hard to hard/impossible to scan a QR code from your computer. But if you just go to YouTube and type in decision support, that's how you're going to find our channel. So really quickly, I'll just kind of give you the quick little, even if I think if you just Google it, YouTube decisions support, I think it'll show up. Yeah, there you go. Here's our channel where all of our lunch and learns, right? Here's yesterday. So we do post these. That's just my final sentiment there. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. And like I said, if you do have a question, please feel free to chat, QA, whatever you want to do. Feel free to fill it in there. Marvin, I did read, I'll unmute you. I know you said you had how did you word it? A
Suggestion.
suggestion. Yeah. You said a viable suggestion for submission. Yeah. So project organization. Let's talk, man. What do you got for us?
To set this up, you know how you have basic folders
All right.
that you
Well,
put things into.
you had them. Yeah. You still have them in the public folder.
Right, right. I'm just kind of
Yeah.
setting up the scenario. And then you have designer folders that are specific to certain items.
Yep.
You put whatever.
Mhm.
My suggestion would be to possibly create a third type of folder that's just projects that will only hold projects.
Ooh. So like, are you talking like in this world, outside of
No, outside of that. In other words, if you go
like
back
here?
and see all your projects, yes. I mean, we've only have about 15 or 20 in there,
Yeah.
but my OCD is already going nuts.
Nuts. Yeah. Let me think here.
So my thought would be if there was some way we had a quote project folder
Yeah.
that you could manage project that you could only do management of projects, that
Right.
would be great.
Yeah. That is a good one.
You would have that context menu like you've got there that would only be applicable to, maybe rename a project, move a project to a different folder, create a new folder, a subfolder maybe,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Yeah. Let me think here.
Because you
Is there?
can't put
I
projects in folders right now.
Yeah, I definitely
You
agree.
got
Yeah, I agree with the sentiment. Let me think here of if there's any alternative options in terms of making some type of auto-populating dashboard that would show you an icon that you can just click on and have that be your landing page and just pretend like this doesn't exist. Um,
Mhm.
Let me think here.
Because I mean, we've got several projects that we've imported from you guys. They get blended in with everybody, the developer sandbox projects, and then the real projects. And
Yeah,
it, there's only 15 or 20 right now, but a couple of years from now, that'll be different.
yeah. I'm brainstorming here. I'm thinking,
Sure.
um, the only problem that I can see here, let me think. Okay, so we have projects and we're trying to get a better way to organize these.
Yes.
Okay.
Since you lost the the ability to do that going from
Yeah.
version 8.
Okay, so all of these, let me do a new color. Okay, so all of these, they don't know each other exist. I'm trying to think of what would be the fastest, because the problem is that th- my initial thought was like, okay, we make some kind of page dashboard that knows that these exist. But the problem is to make that page and dashboard, you got to be in this, and then this can only know that one other project exists. Oh, I guess it can depend on multiples, but then you're kind of getting
Well,
into a
this
squirrely area.
is irregardless of dependencies. This is only used for
Right.
organization
Yeah.
purposes.
Yeah, for your navigation, right? So you can navigate to things in an effective way.
Right. To get
Yeah.
to a certain project effectively. I mean, in some fashion, you have that very thing within each of those. You just don't have that ability for projects themselves.
Hmm. Yeah. Let me think here.
I mean, I know that
Yeah,
there's
it is a great solution, and I'm gonna write them down right now. I'm thinking, the more I'm thinking about it, I could definitely like, obviously, there's nothing I can do or you can do to change this
right,
architecture. Nothing we can do. Just that's just the straight up real answer.
right,
Again, there's alternatives that we could make so that you could pretend that this doesn't even exist and maybe navigate through like a dashboard like this that would have folder. You could come over here and call this, you know, my dash or a navigational whatever, and click on that, and then parse down through it, and then just like again pretend that this repository project hub doesn't even exist, and um, but the double nesting of stuff would be an odd. I mean, we don't have any other questions, and if people have questions, again, feel free to put it in the chat. But if until we get another question, I don't mind like doing some squirreling and squirreling it up a little bit and see if I can come up with something. But um,
yeah, it was just a suggestion, you
yeah,
know.
I like it, man. I do.
So for some future
What about
release,
a workflow catalog? Could we do have it initiate from a workflow? Well, no, that wouldn't really work either. I was thinking maybe we could set it up to work from a workflow, like a big old workflow catalog like this world. Um, I always forget where this one's at. It's under applications, yeah. Um, List view. So we just have fetch out of a first project. You couldn't put a whole project in there. Hmm.
that's the thing. You can't put projects anywhere
Yeah.
other than maybe a report that you might could build, and put some tags on it. But
Yeah.
that's the closest. Then somehow maybe make that report your dashboard and then click the report. I don't know. I'm just if I remember right, you can add a tag to a project itself.
All right. Mm.
Sure, a lot of people are used to hate to say it, use Windows for all their folder structures and everything, and not to be able to put a project in a folder in some organizational way that means something to them, is a bit.
Yeah. I wonder if I can do like a report based on tag. Maybe there's no more questions. Like some type of
Yeah,
report based
sure.
on tags. Like, okay, so I'm doing this. Let's see if I can like, tag this and then make it. Where's manage tags? Let's say if I put a tag on it called, um, all right, can I do some type of thing that takes me where things are tagged a certain way and you base it on that? Again, this is just not going to be the prettiest of operations here. Nope, wrong project.
What RFD's for, doesn't have to be pretty.
Hmm. Pages, add a page, pick the page, Rob style. So that takes me into the project. Okay, so how can I subfolder that out if I wanted to? And again, everybody in the room, feel free to chime in the QA chat. Don't feel like you got to wait till this is done. And Marvin, this is something I am honestly kind of interested in. This seems like a fun paradigm. I might end up, if they ask another question, build it out and send something to you, or at least my iteration of it.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I don't want to fill up the lunch and learn with this question. I just wanted to
yeah, let me
bring this suggestion.
no, yeah, let me work on it. I think I might be able to figure out something. Um, I might be able to figure out something. It's just going to take me a little bit of navigation that way, where you can just kind of navigate and maybe make these. Again, it's not going to be a folder tree. I can maybe think of a
I
couple ways to
understand.
do it. I mean, there's a number of ways. I wonder if yeah, let me mess with this, man. I think I can figure something out.
Okay.
There's so many options here. Robert Sharp, I saw you did Robert Sharp. I did not answer your question yet. If you want to go ahead, where did you submit it at? I can either find it that way, or if you don't mind retyping it, or I can unmute you. Either way, this is also Robert. I'll unmute you if you want to talk. Where did you submit the question at? And I can find it, or if you want to read it out loud to me or type it up, either or, I can help you.
I submitted it when I signed or
Yeah,
tried
no
to
problem. Let me go and pull that up then real quick.
RSVP for the
Yeah, appreciate it.
webinar. Let
Yeah,
me
no
see if I
problem.
can find it in the email.
I'll race you. And then I got another question in the chat as well about from I think Peter. Decisions one.
Okay, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, I got you. Two,
But
two.
basically, I'm creating just a dashboard for us to use at like conferences and stuff as like a demo dashboard that can then be used to navigate to all our different projects and
Oh,
products.
yeah.
Um, so I'm using some custom CSS on like the buttons and things, and I see them in like the page designer view. But then when I'm actually looking at the page in like the folder view, it doesn't carry over the CSS.
Oh, okay. So you have it working. It's the CSS related. So you have it in which view does it work and which view does it not work?
So it works when I'm like in the page designer,
Okay.
but then when I look in the actual like folder, like the
Like
dashboard
this
page, it
thing.
doesn't carry it.
Interesting. So when you're in here, it like the CSS, I don't know if I have anything on here, but it applies it looks good here, but then when you put it on the dashboard, it doesn't come with it.
Correct.
Okay. And that dashboard, I guess, which version decisions are you on, 8 or 9?
I'm in version 8 still.
Okay, version 8. Okay. So it's not going to be dependency issue. Um, why would that
And
not?
it's just a normal folder, not a designer folder.
Right, right. Uh, the CSS is not applying over here, but it should because that CSS
And yeah, the CSS is uploaded to the CSS folder in the system.
system. Yeah. Let's see if I can just build something out real quick in 8 that's kind of a parallel. I know I got some CSS here. Do we have a lunch and learn? Nice. All right, so let's figure this out. Let's make a page real fast, or see if we have a page already. Address, address data test edit thingy. This is definitely made by Jared. Um, let's go. All right, let's put a button on here because I know that the CSS buttons, let's say like a run flow button. We won't actually program it to do anything, but we'll just have a button because I know that the buttons are easy to recognize when the CSS gets changed. All right, boom. Okay, just a random button that doesn't do anything. I love that. All right, so I don't have any CSS on this either. Are you crazy? Oh, there's all right, so Atos makes it white with a blue. Okay. So allegedly this should work. So I changed this to a white blue instead of the blue total. And then you just have it on a folder at root, you said, a normal folder at root?
It's not at root, but yeah, it's just a regular folder.
Okay, I can just do the same thing. I'm gonna have to purge this lunch and learn folder. It's getting a little crazy here. Manage page slash dashboard, add a page slash dashboard. Let's pick that page called CSS address data test thingy. Let's confirm. Okay, so it's not working for me either. So okay, so it's a setting we're missing then. Um, and if anybody else in the chat knows, feel free to ping my brain. I'm not the CSS king. Let's see if someone walking by me is. Where's William Myron? I need him. What am I missing? Let's see here. CSS page. Certainly missing something. Just we're past all this. We're past all this. We're past all that. All right, so the CSS is not applying. Is there some type of option in here? Again, apologies, I just don't have the most robust CSS knowledge. I don't really have the most robust anything knowledge, but CSS is definitely towards the bottom of my knowledge world.
Don't know that it matters, but you were looking at version 9 and not 8.
Oh, here? Oh, thank you. No, that matters, Marvin. Thank you, dude. That really matters. No, it definitely matters. For sure it matters. Thank you for that, man. Um, All right, so we're past all this. We did that. I think we used it on a single element though. It should still add page to the designer project. So when I preview, it goes back too as well. Is that the same for you? If you preview it, it doesn't show, it only shows it here like in a non-live action. Like if
Correct.
you
Yeah, it doesn't show it in the preview either.
Hmm. And you have it as a style sheet that applies to the entire page, or is it on individual elements you're applying CSS?
I have it as a style sheet on the page, and then each element I'm using, I'm picking the one I want for that element.
What am I missing here? CSS on the page. What could I be missing here? You know, it's always like a checkbox somewhere. It's always like some niche checkbox thing. Oh, here's a guy. Can I ask you a question, Mr. William? Nope. Okay. I know you got a little bit of CSS. Can you come on over here? We're getting a pro. It'll be quick, man. Why what am I missing here when I make a CSS page in here on a page right here, right? I did a CSS change with a style sheet. The button changes to this formatting, right? But then when I go to the page that it's on, it's not.
F12,
Okay,
right click,
was it F12, right?
Shift I,
Control Shift I, man.
right click on the browser refresh button. Right click
Okay.
on browser refresh. Right click,
Oh, right click. Ooh.
or long click, and then empty cache hard reload. Close the browser tools. It's not there. Okay, so go back, show me the CSS again.
We gotta CSS, gotta find the flow. Unfortunately, this is a lunch and learn, so we're there it is. Nope, that's the report. Dang it. Yeah. Our lunch and learn folder, as everyone can see, is a nightmare. Okay, there we go.
Right click on the run flow object.
Hmm.
Show me the CSS.
It's not on there.
On the thing by default.
It's on the page style sheet.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
I guessing.
It's called Atos, but I don't see it on there.
Push the button. You type in button.
Just click one.
Now let's see.
Well, for this to work, don't you have to be in preview?
No, we're just looking at it first. Here, move this guy over here. Thank you. Crap. This is what I'm looking for at the bottom. So we look at the element styles, UI widget input, UI widget button, input, form surface, run flow buttons. Is this what you called it? Or like button?
Arbitrary CSS. I'm just trying to recreate a customer's issue from lunch and learn.
Because here's what's applied to it. So then here, duplicate. No. Really gotta go. So
Okay.
which folder is it?
It's in one of these pages. It's on there.
Which folder? Click on the folder, could you?
Oh.
I mean, here. So
Well, the CSS is applied right here because this is not our normal. So it is working. It's just not working on that button.
Yeah, it's not working for any of my buttons or
flow
links.
button.
Oh, but it's working for other things.
I don't have it applied to anything else, but
Oh, okay.
So it's being overwritten by something. I would say add important to the CSS.
I don't know if you heard that. So this is obviously, we're trying to recreate it on our end. Or my friendly coworker, William, saying, if you look on the screen right now, you can see how these are being overwritten. So he
Mhm.
was saying in the CSS, add the important tag.
oh, okay.
And that might override it because there's probably you probably have a certain CSS tier that exists in the page designer and in the page preview, and then you have additional CSS that's written when it's a part of a dashboard. And I'm assuming that part that's on the dashboard is overriding the importance part on that. So what I'd probably advise, I know this probably isn't the most ideal solution, but if you Gregory, are you trying to chime in here?
What?
You had your hand raised in the thing.
Oh, I clicked the wrong button.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. So I would try that important tag first. William, who I was just speaking with, knows a bit about CSS. He's who I always go to. But if that doesn't work, maybe just submit a support ticket. They can get on a call with you and look at your actual stuff. Like we can't share your stuff on here because we post this on YouTube and we don't want to expose any of your information to the internet. But if you just email support@decisions.com, they might be able to they will be able to get on a call with you and take a look at it. But he advised adding that important tag in your CSS just so that it prioritizes that over top of whatever the there's CSS for the folder, CSS for the designer page, there's CSS, it's CSS well is very deep. So just making sure that thing gets prioritized, I would just add that code. I think it's exclamation point important right above the line.
Okay, yeah, I'll try that. And then one other question I had is just about a page element. Is there any way to do like a collapsible element? Like I'm trying to add our own little navigation tree, but I just want it to be like, you click the menu button and it pops out. Or is that getting into like more like JavaScript controls stuff?
It might be because it's action oriented. I can gladly take a quick look and see if anything pops out at me.
So I couldn't find like any kind of action button, but I might have just been not using the right lingo
So
to find one.
you want a button that creates a drop down, or do you want like a header container where you click the header and it expands?
Either, I guess. I'm just looking for like whatever option would work.
Yeah. I don't think we have anything installed here yet. We don't.
What about using vertical stacks or horizontal stacks?
Yeah.
Display.
So something maybe let's test a couple here. See vertical stack. I don't really know all that much about. Under navigation, what do we got here? Whoa.
I've used vertical stacks with header controls quite a bit.
Here's a navigation tree part. I'm not sure exactly what the functionality of it is, but well, look at that.
Yeah,
Marvin.
I have that.
It's pretty slick.
but-
Go ahead. Let's do it. Let's do it, man. BT, what you got, man? Give it to me.
Yeah, I have created something that is basically HTML tile, and a workflow generates dynamically menu and just links inside of decisions. It's kind of cool. It's kind of, like flying out, and it's like generic, I would say, recursive tree.
Yeah, and again, that's not something I can build out right now, unfortunately. I just don't have the
I
skill
can
set
set
for it.
that example over.
You just use a display HTML and then put.
No, HTML tile, like a simple tile, and the workflow would generate a dynamic HTML for it.
And you just use like a merge HTML text to do it.
It's just a how would you say it? It's not merge HTML. It's just create an HTML plain text and outputs.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I'm gonna go back to the native world here just for a second. So what do you want to navigate to there, Robert? Like what do you I said you want to navigate. Do you want to navigate to projects? Do you want to navigate to folders? Do you want to navigate to other dashboards? Like what do you want to navigate to?
So just the folders that are just within this little demo
World. Okay.
project, but I have that working. It's just, is there a way to like, you click the menu button and it pops out And then, just so it's not like always there.
Yeah. You could
I
just
just
put
don't see
make
like
a,
a
you can make a
action
button that
or
shows,
action image or something like that.
yeah,
That I
and
could trigger for it to
to
be
run that
visible or
element.
something.
Yeah. Yeah, you could make a button that opens up a page or a report that they can then close out of, and you can make that button customizable, I believe. Getting a little bit in crazy here. It's not called a button. What do we call it these days? Is it an action or something? I don't even know what some of these do. Primary button. What does the primary button do? Uh-uh.
I think that's more for like user actions.
Yeah, you're right. It definitely is. That was very quick. You came to that conclusion before I did.
I looked at it already.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say if you've already done all this navigational driving, that's basically where I was. I don't want to retrace your steps here too much, but
And the goal is you want to click on a button and it goes to a different part of the folder tree. That's it.
Just not that it goes to a different part, that it displays the folder tree. So trying to get to where we can, hide the default decisions like Windows and stuff, and still be able to navigate to folders.
I see. And the tree view didn't support the ask because it was just all of the folders.
I can narrow it down to specific root folders, but it's just always there. I want it to be, like visible and invisible.
what if you put it in a header container?
What you could probably do is, have you tried putting it in like a form tile and then attaching that information on the form tile? Then you can use active form flows and those kind of configurations to have that kind of dynamic. They click on it and then pops up a dialog that displays that kind of folder view for them.
Okay.
Because the limitation that you're going to hit with the page designer is that there's no concept of active form flows.
Yeah.
So we can't really say like I click a button and then boom, we display this control, right? Or display where the location of where that tree is looking at, right? But with an active form flow, not active form flow, with a form and active form flows, then you can combine that and say, okay, I have a button. If I click on this, this is the root folder I want to display. That's the selected, and then boom, it just displays it that way.
Got it. Okay.
Robert, I just sent you email with the screenshot of the menu that I have.
Okay.
If you can show that.
You sent it to me personally?
Yeah. Robert at decisions.com.
No, it's Robert. It's a different one. I don't know who in the world that is.
Sorry.
Here you go, man.
What's your email address?
Put it in the chat for you, my man. Boom. I'm gonna just move on, and I'll come back and show that here in a second, so we did get some other questions. Peter, thank you for your question, and thank you everybody for your questions. Happy Thursday. We're getting good ones today. Is it possible to name columns in a report data grid based on variables in the flow? Wow. Okay, let me think. I'm going to unmute you, Peter. I'm just going to make sure I have the right grasp here. So this report is made and has to be made in the flow because it's not a standalone report. So it's the report the report is being made in the flow, and then you want the column names to be based on that.
So I have a data grid on a form, right? And if you configure the columns in the data grid, that opens the report view. So if that's not the same as a report,
no, I think it is. I was making sure it wasn't like a standalone report, like in this world, like at least with it being in a flow or on a form, yes, we can probably get that data on there. So let me think here. I really just need to do this. Probably won't let me delete all these. Well, I'll do it later. I'll hold you
I
hostage.
believe the answer to that question, Peter, is you can. So basically, you just want like whatever flow you want the flow to pass in a list of items, and then whatever the names of those items are becomes the headers for that data grid.
That might work. It was what I have now is I created a data structure, but it's very general, right? So the items in the data structure are just like A, B, C, D, and then
Yeah.
I pull in, data from the API, and I want to rename the columns based on whatever data I pulled in.
Want to rename the columns based on the data that you pull in. So like let's like, so first time I run it, execution 1, it's ABC as the title, right? Then you run it a second time, and now the headers are DEF.
I think he's passing in data ABC and he wants he's passing in data ABC and he wants the data repeater headers to say name, right? Like email and date or something like that. You just want to like reformat those text of the headers based on what you're getting. Is that right?
Right, yeah, because the headers wouldn't be fixed properties like name. It would be, it's a column of information about a single, entity or something that's been pulled in. Like if the table is showing GDP data, the column should say GDP. If it's showing inflation rate, the column should say inflation. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you. It's not that you necessarily want to change them, you just want just to show the data that you're looking for. Is this the same table or are they two separate tables?
It would be the same table, right? So I want to be able to pull in data for any economic indicator and have the column be the name of that indicator. So it's not a name from the data structure. It's a value from the data structure.
Interesting.
I'm sure, yeah, I'm still
So
struggling.
you're getting in data like this, and this might say inflation rate or whatever. And it's a part of, right? Or maybe I guess I'm going crazy here too. ABCD, let me undo this drawing. That's horrible.
So the economic indicator, that's the value or is that the variable name?
That's the value of an indicator. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something that would appear on the table, but just it's not the name of the data structure that I'm charting. So it has to come from somewhere else, right? I want it to be able to be something I can control in the flow.
Still trying to understand. Cause it's the same table. You just want the fields on the, okay, that's somewhat clicking. You just want the fields on the report to be different.
Was it a data grid or an advanced, or was it a data grid or a repeater?
It was
data
a
grid.
data. It was a data grid, yeah.
Yeah.
But if I should
Okay.
be using a repeater, then feel free to tell me.
No, I don't think.
I
that
mean,
would-
you could, if you use data repeater, there's one called a, what's that one called? It's not a, it's a data repeater, but is it a composite data repeater? Let me look it up on documentation. That one could allow you to display, mixed type repeater, that's what it's called. You can create a mixed type repeater. Then what you'd have to do is you'd have to like use a cast to object and then have it pick the specific object that shows that specific economic indicator. And then you'll see both of those in the same kind of set there.
But so the column headers would still have to be defined in the object itself? Or does cast to object create a new object just within the flow?
Gosh, how to create a new object within the flow. So I guess I feel like I'm kind of getting confused. So you're not talking about the variable names on the data structure. It's just the values inside. So like, for example, like ABC is the values, right? The next time I run it, it's economic indicator alpha. We'll just say that, right? I run it a second time. Now I have economic indicator Charlie, right? It's the value you're talking about that changes, but the thing, the top name is still economic indicator. Am I understanding that correctly, or am I still like?
No, I think we're
confused?
saying something different. Like
Okay.
so to use advanced data grid, I first defined a data structure, so I'd have like the right
Correct.
kind of columns and stuff, right? And when I made that data structure, I named the fields A, B, C, D.
Okay.
Because it's generic, they don't have specific meanings. They just correspond to the columns in the table, right? So
Okay.
then when I bring in data, I want all the information. Well, yeah, then it gets a little bit complex, but each column should correspond to a different thing that I'm bringing in through my API. So then I want to be able to replace A, B, C, D with names that correspond to those things I'm bringing in.
I wonder if there's a flow source. You mind if I drive for a second?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
I have a question on this as well. Is there a fixed amount of possibilities that you could have, or could it just be anything? Like if there's a pool of possible economic indicators that could be brought in, is there like kind of a cap or certain ones that could be brought in dynamically, or could it just be anything based upon the API call?
There's a limited number, but it's in the thousands, I think. It's not a small number.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, so let's do that. Let's kind of, can I create it? I just want to create a new project so I can kind of walk through this. Dynamic data member, or not member, data name, not data name. We'll just pick something. Alrighty, data. All right, and what kind of data structure did you create?
Yeah, a flow structure.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
I'll
it had
call
about
this
10 fields.
economic data. We'll say this is A, B, C. And so now if I go to my flows, we go to create flow, test flow. And then we go to form, and you're using an advanced data grid, show form. Because I think if we walk through this, I may understand a little bit more. Example form. Sure, we'll say info only right now. Type economic echo. And then data as input. And so, all
Yeah.
right, so I have the data here. And so then your question, say your question one more time, because I think with this in front of me, I may understand better.
Yeah, right. So this is exactly what I was doing. And so I could see on the right, you could rename the fields like manually, but you'd still have a fixed name for that report.
Ah,
And I'd like that to be dynamic coming from a variable.
okay, I see. Dynamic coming from the variable. I wonder, is it coming from a database?
It's not, it's coming from an API.
Darn it, okay. I was asking because essentially what this is it's just an alias, like in a database query, it just says alias to instead of C, change column C to be Charlie. So if it was, then we might be able to get away with creating a query integration where depending on what it is, you can then set that dynamically and then rename it dynamically if it's stored. If it comes from an API integration, then that gets a little difficult. Let's try, let's just create this. So if I get the data. I don't need to create the API integration. All I need is just to be able to create some data beforehand so we can see this. So if I go to create data, and then I create data, I have economic data is list. And then we can just add, 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter. And then we'll add another 1, 4, 5, 6, because it doesn't really matter. And so as this comes in, I want to say that with the advanced data grid, unless it's, and so let's say, yeah, because it's already set up on the actual data grid itself. Over here, that's edit title. Yeah, I don't think there is a way. Let's go to settings, data view default. I don't think there's a way override. Override, but nope, that's just that. Actions grid view, show its default setting type. group options. Let's see. Yeah, I think in this view, there's no, if you're using a flow structure, there's no way to change this because this is static. And it's configured there. Is there, I wonder, oh, you can't, you have to pick a type, so there's no way. What you could do, and you have this displayed on a form, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that's the designer we're limited to of all the things there, alright. Because,
If there's a simple change in like what kind of form or data grid I'm using, I'd be happy to rebuild the form.
I know, so yeah, what I know you could do is, yeah, the data repeater I think would be a better option to go to. Because what you can do here is you can kind of craft your own kind of title on the fly. And here's what I mean by that. If I go to data repeater, we'll say this is data repeater title on the fly. And then what you can do is, actually, can you? It might be tied to the actual. No, it should be fine. It might not work. Let's just build it out real quick. So if I just do this, add some text boxes there. And then I go to eco. Now that I think about it, I don't think it will. Because, oh no. Form data A.
I mean, it's not ideal, but you could just put labels above the data repeater that are populated dynamically based on what comes in. I mean, you have to have the logic before it, but that's what I was loosely building out on mine is labels on the form outside the data repeater that are populated dynamically.
And I'm not sure if that will work, and here's why. Because if I do this, right? I don't think I can have a label.
Well, no, I was
set
saying
to data.
a label sitting on the form above it, the form that this lives on.
But the problem is if the data is different, it won't reflectively show what he's looking for. So like, let's say the first row is econ data, right? And then the second row is something else, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but that's how I'm understanding that the titles would need to change for that.
Yeah, ideally the titles could change based on what you select, but even if they had to be fixed, but they could be controlled in the flow that like once before the form is displayed, that would probably be helpful.
Oh, so you can. So I guess you could do both ways. I think I see what you're saying, Robert. Is you can have a label set to a data name. I'll say this is, I think this is Charlie label. And this one allows, oh no, it doesn't, validation. Oh no, that's just the title. It's the title. And so then if I do this, well, I guess it wouldn't show anything, it'd just be blank. Data repeater. Pick current, pick existing, data on the fly. Yeah, I've just showed nothing because there's no way to, can I map in data to it? Yeah, okay, so there's no way I can set that label property, but what Robert was talking about is if I add the label up top here, I can set this as a data name, and this could be eco value title, right? And then on the parent form, I'll have this as
There's
a,
Charlie label. Charlie label's right there.
oh, there is Charlie label. Oh, cool. Nice. Okay, so I guess you do have access to both. So then if I run this, let's kind of run this so you can kind of see, and then I'll say this is interest. And I'm just making stuff up. You can tell I'm not in finance. I'll put that in there and then remove this. And then we shall debug. And so now I have interest and then data. Right, so you can then dynamically set based on the data you come in, and then it will display fertile titles there. Does that kind of give you better what you're looking for?
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction. Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
Gotcha. So yeah, I would say it would be the data repeater and then add the labels to the form. I mean, that should get you to what you're looking for.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks for your patience on that. It just was a lot to I was trying to narrow it down, and I think I somewhat get what you're saying.
And just to show something really fast, see if I can open this in any tab. Again, this isn't something I could really speak all that well to. Just can I get this full screen or something so I'm not showing off my world. Yeah, here you go. When VT was talking about the HTML tile, the way that he provisioned it, I believe the question was asked by Robert. Just to share it really quick. This is what he said he could build out of HTML. Again, that's outside the scope of something I know. But this is kind of how he built his out using HTML with a simple tile and having it permissioned. This is what he emailed me earlier. I just want to, if he took the time to email it to me, I want to take the time to show it. So again, the possibilities are there. But my ability to help though pretty much ends right where we're at. So any other questions? I can gladly take a couple more. We got maybe 5 more minutes. Gladly. I'll take anything you got. If not, I'll just go ahead and we can kind of wrap it up. I can start maybe looking into some building out that Marvin navigational thing, ideally.
I have another general question about
Yeah.
dashboards or
Please.
pages.
Yeah, please.
When using a embedded URL page, is there any way to add, say, like a header element to that page, or is it just straight the URL web page?
That was a good question.
It's just straight URL web page.
Okay,
There you go.
thank you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, thank you for the question, man. We're all launching and we're all learning here. So any other final ones? Like I said, we're kind of running up on our full hour here. Appreciate everybody. This was a nice, well attended. Oh, we got some I think we answered it. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and just end it for the day. We'll see you guys next week. I appreciate it. This will go on YouTube. Marvin, I'm gonna try and follow up with you. Thank you guys. This was really informative for me too. So hopefully you got something out of it. We'll catch you next time. Thank you, everybody.